Aye, Shepherd's Pie. Greetings from the Philippines. Welcome back to the channel for an interview with my new friend and next door neighbour, Samuel, who is from the good old US of A. Yes, Patrick Bigfoot in the Philippines has gone and Samuel has taken his place. So, first of all, Samuel, thank you very much for sitting down with us today. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. So, Samuel, tell us a little bit about yourself, mate. Where are you from? Where did it all begin?
Born in California. Parents split up before I was born. My mom lived in California, which is where she had me. My father lived in Kentucky. They had tuned in, turned on, and dropped out, and had lived in a log cabin in the rural hills of Kentucky. So
What year was this?
72.
So it's a hippie kind of time.
It was definitely the hippie era. My father lived there his whole life. I would spend the school years with my mom in California. My dad would come get me, and we'd take a Greyhound bus and then go live in a log cabin with no running water, no electricity, kerosene lantern, wood stove, fetch water from the spring. So as a kid, to me, the Greyhound bus was a time machine. I would go from 1970s California to 1850s Kentucky.
It's good training for the Philippines.
It was.
Which did you enjoy the most?
In retrospect, living in the rural area, it would be a lot like living in the Philippines, in a barangay in the province, I think, except there were no neighbors and nobody else living that way. You know, it was a mile and a half to the nearest house or road. But it was a lot of fun. You know, explored caves and climbed trees.
Young boy's dream.
It was a lot of fun. I built forts everywhere to protect the United States from the evil Soviet Union. Had tree houses. Yeah.
What part of California was your mother living in?
Central Coast, Salinas, Gilroy, Monterey.
Okay. And how long were you in California for? All through school, or?
Till 9th grade, then we moved to Washington State.
Okay. And then how long were you in Washington State?
Most of my life. Spent a year and a half in Dallas, 6th grade. Moved to Washington State at 16. I joined the Navy at 17, stationed in South Carolina.
Okay, so let's wind back a bit. So do you consider yourself a Californian? Or do you consider...
More of a Washingtonian, I think.
I'm glad you said Washingtonian. I wasn't sure what the term was. Yeah. A Washingtonian.
But now I live in Wisconsin. So
did you preferred Washington to California? Or just different?
It was different. But yeah, I think I did.
And were you a single child? We haven't talked about your brother.
No, my mother had a son and daughter. Her daughter, my sister, died at age 21.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was rough. And my father remarried and has a daughter. So I've got 2 half sisters and a half brother.
Okay. And they were with you when you were traveling around and doing all your...
The brother and sister by my mom.
Okay, right now.
My dad's daughter always lived in that log cabin, and yep.
So you went to Washington, and you say you joined the Navy.
I did.
What made you do that? Was it a dream that you planned, or did you just fell into it?
I wanted to get away from my parents, my mom, my stepdad, grow up. I had a plan. The Berlin Wall had fallen. We hadn't been in a war since Vietnam. It was 1990. I was going to join the Navy, travel the world, and get money for college. I didn't see any problems on the horizon. Until, I believe I am the youngest Gulf War veteran. I was 18 and 1 month when we deployed.
That is very impressive. So did you actually go on land over there, or were you always in a boat?
We spent some time in Abu Dhabi, Dubai. We landed for the victory celebration in Kuwait City, and we hit a mine and had some severe damage. We were in the shipyards in Manama, Bahrain for 2 months.
What trade were you?
At that time, I was a deck seaman, and then afterwards, I struck out and became a went into navigation, quartermaster.
I'm always fascinated with the Navy because you seem to have so many trades in the American. How did you end up deciding to do that?
On such a small ship, we were cross-trained a lot. Yeah, on an aircraft carrier, you've got a crew of probably 80 or 100 firefighters, damage controlmen. We had 2. They're not going to fix. So we all had to learn damage control. We all had to learn how to man the guns. We all had to learn how to drop an anchor, how to put in a small boat. All the deck and operations learned all of deck and operations, and the engineers learned all of engineering. Right. And everybody learned damage control. Everybody. So.
Yeah, you must. I'm thinking I'm doing these calculations in my head. Yeah, because how old are you when you can join the forces?
I was 17 and 2 months exactly.
And can I actually send you to war before 18?
I don't know.
Okay, so you would have been one of the youngest there.
Yeah, I was 18. I was exactly 18 and 1 month.
Wow.
January 11th, 1991.
That's very impressive. Yeah. Right, so how long did you spend in the Navy?
3 years, 5 months, 23 days.
Why such a short period of time?
After the war, they had a reduction in force.
Okay.
They asked who wants to leave, and I put my hand up and said, "Vaya con Dios."
Well, that's what I was getting at. Why did you decide that it wasn't for you? Or
not for me at all. I did not enjoy it. We had a shipmate murdered, and it really destroyed the morale of the crew.
Wow.
Yep.
I have heard that. I saw a documentary on it once that you've actually got murders going on underneath and robberies and there's gangs and all that kind of shit because of crap. So that's real, is it?
Yeah.
Wow. That must be unique to the American.
I don't think so. I think maybe. I don't know. I haven't looked at the data.
Well, I think your boats are so big. I mean, I've never heard of anything like that.
Well, I mean, an aircraft carrier, you've got, I think, 5,000 to maybe 7,000 people. I don't know. I was never on one.
Yeah.
You know, it's a floating city. So you've got drama, intrigue, hatred, camaraderie. You got everything you've got in any town.
Yeah, no, what I'd say, I mean, obviously you get stabbings and you get murders and that in the British military. But I saw a documentary once and they were talking about the police on the boat and that. They were saying there's certain parts they can't go and this is dangerous and that. I'm thinking that you can't on a boat. Are you serious?
No, it wasn't that bad, but we did have one shipmate that murdered another.
Okay.
They were never able to prove it,
Really?
But we knew who did it. They eventually arrested 4 people. One of them was not involved, and because they had arrested the one that wasn't involved, they were never able to prosecute it because they could always point to the guy, well, you arrested him too. So it was a fiasco and difficult for everyone involved.
Dear, oh dear. I'm sorry you went through that. So how long were you in total?
Almost 4 years. I got out about 6 months early.
And at what point in the 4 years did you decide it wasn't for you? Was it straight away or?
Yeah, pretty much. I knew I was not going to make it. When I joined at 17, I was idealistic. I knew nothing about it, and had grand plans of becoming chief of naval operations, and it's not how it works.
So basically, it was a long 4 years.
Yeah, it was a long 4 years.
Okay. What did you do when you got out?
Moved back home to Washington. Went to college for a while. Then my grandmother died, and I got a small inheritance, and I decided to open a coffee shop, and I ran that for about a year and a half. Was never able to make a real go of it. The amount of money I made for the amount of work was not worthwhile, but it was a fun experience. That's when I learned to play chess, made a lot of lifelong friends, and learned a lot about life, at a pretty young age, I think.
If you had been making money, was it something you enjoyed doing?
I did, very much. As a young person, I was extremely sociable, and I got energized by interacting with people. I think I'm more of an ambivert now. Like I will go to the trivia night and enjoy it, and then for the next 3 nights, I'll stay at home and watch TV and read a book. I think that had
nothing wrong with that. It's a good balance.
I think that had a lot to do with my first major career outside of the military, which was driving long haul, where you are on your own. You're in solitary confinement in a truck driving across North America, and there's a real appeal to solitude, even as an extrovert, even as someone very sociable. After a couple of years of just being on your own, working on your own, you could have very little contact, human interact, say hello and goodbye to the person at the fuel desk when you get fuel, but you drive, you listen to music as loud as you want, you stop where you want to eat, you sleep when you want, where you want. And
did you do that straight from the coffee shop?
No, I had probably 30 different jobs in my 20s. I was never a good employee.
So at what stage did you do any interesting jobs in between?
I was a welder on an assembly line in Kentucky. I was a waiter, a bartender, a cook, a dishwasher, a busboy. I did concrete. I did drywall. I studied to be an auto mechanic and didn't like it. I'm missing a lot. I worked at a mental institution. I was an employee, not institutionalized. That was interesting. Did a lot of manual labor.
So you really tried your hand at a lot of things.
I did.
So what got you in? How old were you when you decided trucking was the thing that you were going to?
My uncle died. My mother had gone to California for his funeral, and at the hotel there was a truck driver and his son at the pool, and my mom at the time was a city bus driver, and he made the mention that if you can drive a bus, you can drive a truck. And my mom came home. I was there. She said, "You want to learn how to drive a semi?" I'm like, "Yeah." And we went to truck driving school. Somebody hired us, and we started driving. We had no clue what we were doing.
Wow.
And then I always enjoyed a road trip. And truck driving in America is a very difficult job, dealing with the companies and with the shippers and the receivers. You get paid by the mile, but right. You can get somewhere and wait 3 days to be unloaded. You get paid zero. You still have to pay child support, electricity, your rent, but you're not making any money. So it was very frustrating.
And then were you working self-employed, or were you working for a company?
I worked for a company. We hauled refrigerated goods.
They said only paid you
by the mile. You get paid by the mile, wow. Period. Broke down, you don't get paid. Fueling, you don't get paid. Loading, you don't get paid. Unloading, you don't get paid. You get paid by the mile. So there's literally very little incentive for truck drivers to be safe, slow. You want to go as fast as you can and as far as you can to make as much money as you can. So it was frustrating. Didn't like it. Quit. Drove some local, delivered beer, delivered bread, delivered wine, hauled hay from the farms to the ports of Seattle. And then my ex-wife and I were on vacation and ran into a couple in just a pickup truck. And they hauled travel trailers, what you would call a caravan.
Oh, yeah.
From the factories in Indiana to dealerships around the country. And he told me how much he made, and I was quite impressed. I'm like, that sounds pretty good. But truck drivers are very much Pollyannas. They're, everything is wonderful. They're making $1 million a year. Yeah. They love their company. They get treated like gold. And then a month later, you see them, they've quit. They're at another company. Yeah. And, those assholes cheated me, Yeah. And so I got online, and the pay rate was what he said it was. And I'm like, okay, I went and bought a pickup. I got hired, started hauling travel trailers. And that became, for me, the pinnacle of the trucking industry, because the job is very simple. You call your dispatcher. They tell you what loads are available. We got one going to Texas, one going to Seattle, one going to LA. You pick the one you want. You go to the office, you get your paperwork. You go load the trailer. You hook it up. 15 minutes. Then you drive. You go to a dealership, and they would literally just walk around the trailer, make sure you didn't damage it, sign your paperwork, and you'd leave. You'd take a picture of the paperwork, send it to the company, and the money would be in your account the next day. So it took out all the waiting at a dock. Yeah. If you broke down, it was your truck. It was on you. Yeah. If you maintain your truck well, you didn't break down that. You're going to break down. You're going to get a flat tire. But it became far less of that frustration and sense of unfairness. Like, what do you mean I got to sit here for 5 days to unload, making $25 a day?
Yeah.
That won't buy my food. So I ended up, that's the longest I've ever held a job in my life, from 2014 until last year.
Oh, that was a long run.
Long run.
Like
I finally found my niche.
Right.
Niche. I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Both are fine with me. So when you were doing the long runs, in the big trucks, what do you call them? You call them
semis.
Semis, yeah. What are the limits in terms of the amount of hours you can drive for the distance? And
depends on where you are.
Right.
And the lower 48, you can drive 11 hours and you can work for 14 in a day. But you have to take 34 hours off after you've accumulated. It's a highly regulated industry. After you've worked 70 hours, no matter where you are, you have to take 34 hours off.
How do they know how much you've driven?
Now it's all electronic. It's on your phone. They track the truck.
Okay.
Back in the day, it was a paper log, and you could cheat. You can cheat really easily.
The reason I'm asking is actually the quiz the other night. They have lorry drivers in that, and you have a tachometer. I've never heard of a tachometer.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, like,
no, it wasn't a tachometer. It was something else.
I'll have to Google this. Yeah. But that basically measures the amount of time you've done your sleep and your miles.
God, okay.
So I was thinking, well, maybe they can just drive unlimited miles, and that's really dangerous.
And I think I drove to Alaska 8 times, which is, I think, 3,000-mile one-way trip, like 5,000 kilometers. It's a full 70 hours from my house to Alaska. And when you get into the Yukon and Alaska, the rules change. You can drive 14 hours. I couldn't. I was 47, 48 at the time. If I'd done Alaska trips at age 29, I would have gone insane and made. But I got to the point where I just drove 8.5 hours every day.
Okay.
And then and then that way you never had to take that 34 hours off, because you never hit that 70-hour benchmark. It would by the time you got to 70 hours, the whatever length of time, one had dropped off.
Yeah. Okay.
So at 8.5, 9 hours a day, you can pretty much roll every day.
That's a very good way of doing it.
Well, and that way I wasn't exhausted. I could go for a walk in the morning, because when I was going really hard, like most truck drivers, I got obese. I got up to 230 pounds and I'm 5'10". You're not eating healthy. You're not moving. You're sitting 11 hours a day. You're exhausted. You don't work out. You're eating fried food at fast food restaurants. And when I got down...
Sounds like heaven.
No, it was horrible. I was chain smoking. I was drinking every night when I stopped. And it wasn't a healthy or productive lifestyle other than financial. But after I figured out that if I did 8.5 a day, I wasn't tired, I could go for a walk. I had the energy to cook a healthy meal. And I quit smoking, quit drinking, and lost 50 pounds. I got down to 180 at one point, and was doing really well. And then all hell broke loose in my body. Arthritis in my neck, a compressed disc, 2 torn hip labrums, and then a mystery ailment that they were finally able to diagnose. I've got a cyst growing on my spinal cord. So
is this because of the driving? Is it because of the sitting down? Is that, the injuries you're describing?
I think it had a lot to do with it, and some of it was old injuries from the military, just, a lifetime of doing manual labor.
Right. Yeah, okay, because you're working. So, when did you start? So this was basically the job you were doing up until you decided to come to the Philippines?
There was a year gap. I took the last year to try and get healthy again.
Okay, so you stopped working for a year.
I stopped working for a year. I did physical therapy, a lot of neurology appointments. It was covered through the VA.
Right, okay.
So although I didn't like the military, having been in it has saved me from financial ruin. My medical bills would have been insane without the VA medical care.
And that's because you had the injuries when you were in the military?
And my corpsman documented everything.
So if you hadn't had those injuries...
I would have been bankrupt. I wouldn't be here. Number one, I couldn't afford it. And I probably wouldn't be healthy enough to have traveled here.
Wow.
So at some point, I decided to make my health a full-time job. Did the physical therapy, went once a week and then did what they told me daily and started walking again. And slowly, as I got my strength and the pain under control, was able to go back to the gym and started cooking healthy again, and not back to where I was at my peak 3 years ago, but I'm getting there.
Well, you're looking healthy. I'm surprised you had that many problems. Looking at you now,
I had quite a few. A lot of them were self-inflicted, alcohol and cigarettes.
But had you got to the point where you just couldn't drive anymore, or had you thought, wait a minute, this is ridiculous, I know where this is going?
It got to the point where it was an unbearable amount of pain.
Wow. Okay.
And it got misdiagnosed as sciatica, and then eventually, I have nothing but praise for the VA medical care. They get a lot of bad press, but my doctors were amazing. They really put in the time and the effort and got me back on my feet, literally.
And are you still having to do things now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Even in the Philippines?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Right before I came here, I got 2 steroid injections in my hips. I get a steroid injection into my spinal cord and my neck. Otherwise, my arm goes numb and swells. So there's some nerve damage.
So how will you, if you decide, I mean, I don't know what your plans are in terms of staying here long term. I mean, what are your plans?
I will probably once or twice a year have to go back to the States and get treated, or find someone here. Like the medical care here, I think is fairly advanced. I mean, a nurse trained in the Philippines can work anywhere in the world. They have, I think, reciprocity agreements with, I know they can work in the U.S.
Oh, you got that? Yeah. So, okay, so your plan is potentially to stay in the Philippines for a long time.
Correct.
But at what point was that something you'd been thinking about when you were driving it, or was something that came into your mind when you stopped working for the year?
I was pretty much bedridden for a year, and I got addicted to travel vlogs on YouTube. And I watched people in Africa, South America, people that go hiking, there's one guy that's been to every country on the planet, and I would watch different YouTube videos. And I kept coming across vloggers like you from the Philippines. A lot of good content out of the Philippines. And then I started looking at what my income is going to be for the rest of my life. And I remember I went to Walmart recently, a couple months ago, and I bought a can of coffee, normal can of coffee that I think a year ago I paid $8 for, and it was $18. It had more than doubled in 1 year. And everything had gotten that expensive. So I started thinking about, well, maybe I should immigrate somewhere with a lower cost of living. And I'd spent some time in Africa, done a little bit of travel in Europe. I've never been to South America or Australia or East Asia. And so I looked at South America because I can comprehend a little bit of Spanish. And I looked at Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, and they're all appealing. They all have their pros and their cons. But I ended up picking the Philippines because of the prevalence of English. I mean, as an American, we don't learn any languages. Everybody speaks English. We take one language in high school, and we don't all take the same language. We take Spanish, German, or French usually, and we don't use it. And I'm 52 years old. My brain is not as sharp as it ever was, and it was never that great to begin with. So the odds of me learning a tonal language like Vietnamese is nil. It's just not going to happen. I have trouble pronouncing some Filipino words here that are not that difficult, but they're really not, and I mispronounce them every time. So the thing that balanced the reason I end up choosing the Philippines is that everybody can communicate in English.
So a lot of Americans I meet over here, that seems to be a driving thing for them. But okay, so basically it was economical were a big motivation. You wanted to stop working again.
America is no fun. Everybody is angry, depressed, anxiety-ridden, very polarized, whether you're right-wing or left-wing. You're not allowed to associate with the other people anymore. Like, that's my neighbor. He's my friend. Well, he supports this candidate. I don't care. He's lived a different life. He has a different worldview. He's in a whole different paradigm than I am. He's a good person. I don't have to agree with him. And then they hate you because you don't like it. It's gotten economically, culturally depressing. And I love my country. I love my countrymen. I love the geography. I love the plant life. I love exploring. I love driving all over. And it just is not what it was. And I don't know if it's because I'm old and it's changed and left me behind, or if it's truly gotten as bad as I think it has. But it's a different vibe here.
Oh, it's a very different vibe. I think a lot of people always think that about England has changed a lot, I will say, you know what I mean?
Everybody, every language changes, every person changes, every society changes. And you can either keep up with it, love it or leave it.
Yeah.
And I no longer loved it, so I've left it.
I hear. And the point I was getting at was it was primarily economic factors, and now you've explained the other ones why you left. But did you come to the Philippines thinking, right, I'll give the Philippines a go, and if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to the States?
Yes.
Or have you come here thinking, I'll try the Philippines and I'll try somewhere else or South America?
The latter.
The latter.
If I don't fit in, if I can't deal with the issues that other expats have with the Philippines, I think I can. Like I've had no major culture shock here. The infrastructure is better than I thought it would be. The roads are good for me. The power grid, we had a brownout for a few hours the other day. We have brownouts in California, regularly, routinely. The people are friendly. Until the other night at that restaurant, I had not heard one person raise their voice at another person.
Oh, don't name the restaurant.
But that's the first anger
I've
in 3 weeks. I've never seen anybody raise their voice. I've seen no road rage. I've seen nothing that has dissuaded me from staying here.
Okay, that's nice.
The heat and the sunlight, direct sunlight during the day, is oppressive for me.
Right.
I'm hoping I'll get used to it. Or if not, I'll take a nap.
So that's good then. I mean, so at the moment, basically, there's nothing that has surprised you in a negative way.
Not at all.
Anything you weren't expecting, that you weren't prepared for? It's all been pretty much as the vlogs told you.
They're all pretty accurate. Like I think I was well prepared. Like, I don't know anything yet. I've been here 3 weeks. I'm green. I'm just still trying to make sure I don't offend anybody. I don't want to be the ugly American tourist or expat. That we have a reputation for it, and we've earned it. But having been in the military, having traveled Africa a little, Europe, and having grown up like I did, like I grew up without electricity every summer. Like I can relate. We lived in pretty extreme poverty for the United States, and then through luck and more luck, I was able to claw my way out of poverty. And now I've got the opportunity to travel, and I chose to come here.
Why did you choose Dumaguete? Was that because of the vlogs in Dumaguete?
A lot. Well, like I spent 3 days in Cebu, and one of the bubbles, Mactan, Newtown.
Yeah.
And it's nice. Like I assume BGC or Makati is also. But it's mostly tourists. Yeah. You're not going to make they're friendly. I enjoyed talking to them, but they're going back to Norway and Sweden and Russia and India. So you're not going to make any long-term friends. And I think expats are better behaved than tourists. Like you're here. You've been here for a few years. You're in a relationship. You run the trivia night. Yeah. You've got a network, and I think you add to the community more than just coming in. But more than a tourist.
But when you went to Cebu, was that with a view to living there, or was it just on your way here? Were you trying it out as a?
I kind of knew Dumaguete. Like it's got everything I want. Like I've been on a hike. I've been on a couple hikes up into the mountains. I've been to 2 waterfalls. There's a hot spring nearby. I brought my snorkeling gear. I haven't gone yet, but it's on my list. I want to learn how to scuba dive. You got Sikihor an hour away. You got Bohol a relatively short ride away. So you can do a lot of the tourist activities without being a tourist, or being more of a local tourist. So everything I want to do is here without the chaos and traffic of Cebu, or I'm assuming Davao, and definitely Manila. Like, Manila does not appeal to me at all.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I feel the same way as you do in terms of big cities, but to be transparent, I've never been to Davao. I imagine it is. I don't know. I've been to Cebu, I've been to Manila,
and they're not my cup of tea.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. Yeah. But some people it is for.
Well, that's anywhere. Like, there are people that love living in New York City and Chicago. I didn't even like driving through them. It's too stressful. And Cebu traffic reminded me of Chicago traffic. Only on motorcycles instead of big trucks.
So, well, it's nice that it hasn't surprised you in terms of it hasn't disappointed you.
Not at all. I mean, it's for not knowing anything and just at a spur of the moment, I got down, I did a budget, and I'm like, okay, I can afford this, and then I just bought a ticket, and then I started watching videos specifically for renting a place, the visa. Beforehand, my videos were just all over dating, traveling, the culture, the food. I think it started watching Anthony Bourdain,
Right.
with his food travel, I enjoyed that show. And then YouTube blew up, and then you got regular people just traveling and vlogging their travels, and those appealed to me. I watched people in probably every country on the planet, and I enjoy traveling, but I'm not, I'm not going to Monaco. I'm not. I can't afford Europe. I could go for a month, maybe, but I don't know what tipped me to want to immigrate or be an expat. I don't know why it's when somebody moves from a poor country to a rich country, it's immigration. But when they go from the West to a developing nation, you're an expat. I don't know why the terminology is different, but it's interesting. But basically, I'm considering immigrating here, becoming an expat. And I didn't want to be the guy that sold his house and sold everything and came here and hated it and went broke.
Yeah.
So I'm here for 4 months, get my feet wet, see if I get along with the people and make friends, and if this is the life I want to lead.
So the place next door, you've leased that, what, 6 months?
4.
4 months.
4
okay,
months.
I didn't realise you could do short.
I told him I've got to go back and do my taxes, and he's like, okay.
Right. That's a very, very sensible way of doing it. I've always said that to people. You meet a lot of people who just sold up everything. They've jumped at like 70 years of age. They've never been out of the country. And you think, well, I hope it works.
That was my typical. I've always been the leap before I look type of guy. But I was kind of forced to, and I hate to call it research. I watched YouTube videos, but I got a feeling of what it would be like here and what it would cost. And I sat down and did the math, and I can do this. Whether or not my health issues will make it difficult for me to be here long term, I don't know. But even living, spending the amount I spend, and I'm not on a strict budget. I can splurge a little here and there.
Very cheap places.
Yeah,
cheap places.
Yesterday I had in Valencia. There's a little. I don't know if it's a carinderia or a restaurant, but it's right on the square there. And I got 4 scrambled eggs and cheese, onions, tomatoes, delicious. 4 scrambled eggs, a little rice dessert, a cup of coffee, and 2 bottles of water for 225 pesos.
Very adventurous of you.
$4. $4. I had a huge meal that I like. I go there because I enjoy it.
Those adventures. I know a lot of expats who wouldn't do that. I like it. A lot of people won't.
Well, having been in the military and going different places. I ate food in Bahrain. I ate food in Saudi Arabia. Like most of the sailors get off and look for the Pizza Hut or McDonald's, and I always wanted to try the local food. Some of it I loved, some of it not at all.
I'm the same.
I don't think I want to try balut. Doesn't appeal to me.
It's not nice.
I've never met a Westerner that liked it. And furthermore, I don't want to taste it and make a foul face and offend somebody who loves. The locals love their food. We eat rabbit in America, and South Americans are disgusted by it. I love eating rabbit.
You won't offend anyone with balut. Eleanor's never had balut in her life.
Okay.
The time I had it over in Sydney, or we did it on the video, there were 5 of us Filipinos. Only one of them had ever had it before.
Really?
Most Filipinos aren't remotely interested. They won't. Some people like it.
But, you don't want to insult people's food.
I hear. I hear.
Or, their customs.
Well, hopefully, I think you've done it a very sensible way of doing it. I mean, so you've got a couple more months left here,
mm-hmm.
and then you're going to go back to the States.
Mm-hmm. And reevaluate and decide.
Well, there's a few guys sideways when you go to the quiz on Thursday. The ones I'm thinking about, a couple of them go on Monday. They're all ex-American military, and they get a lot of work done in the VA hospital in Manila.
That was another factor. That was absolutely another factor, is that should something happen here, I only have to get to Manila.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of on a wing and a prayer here. I haven't gotten local insurance. Aside from the endemic problems in my back, I'm healthy. My blood pressure's good. My blood sugar's good. So I'm just, if I do end up moving here, I'm going to have to get some form of local health insurance for when I get a cold. I don't want to go to Manila because I've got the flu. But for these 4 months, I'm just hoping I don't have a catastrophic accident.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll be all right.
I appreciate it.
I think you've done it. Very interesting life story. Thanks for sitting down with us. So I learned a lot about you. I had no idea. I had heard through the grapevine, through Patrick, mentioned it was maybe 6 months you were just trying it out. But the way you were talking, I assumed that was it. Now you're going back in 4 months. So it's interesting to know what your plans are. But I hope it all works out. I hope you can sort out your medical issues in terms of getting the injections and things.
Yep.
But that's a very interesting story, Samuel.
Thank you.
You're an interesting chap.
It's all dumb luck.
And he's actually very good at trivia. He's done. I think you won the first Monday, and then you came second on Thursday. So,
by myself.
Yeah. You want to watch? Jenny doesn't watch this. She'll be very upset.
No, actually, there were some questions about Filipino history of which I know nothing, and she nailed them.
No, she's surprisingly knowledgeable, Jenny is.
She's a charming woman.
And he didn't win Monday by himself. He was playing with me.
I didn't say Monday.
Was he talking about by himself?
I did horrible on the music trivia. That was brutal.
Right. Well, thanks for sitting down with us anyway. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, it'd be fantastic if you did. But whether you do, whether you don't, whatever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe and be lucky.